matter. People didn't really talk about blockbusters that much in those days. That was an idea that began to take shape in the early to mid 70s. The public doesn't realize that the character, what makes a picture a blockbuster, is the willingness of people to see it 2 or 3 times, like Star Wars or Jaws. There are not enough people who go to movies out there to make something $100, $200 million picture unless you see it, there's that habit audience. So all of a sudden, by the mid 70s, the movie industry was traumatized. The pot of gold began to take shape, and studios began to say, "Aha! Can't we open a picture in more theaters and spend more money to advertise?" And the whole interior dialogue in studios was distorted and I think corrupted irrevocably.
I made Star Wars. It was a very difficult film to make. There was a lot of problems involved. There was very little money, very little time. I finished it. I showed it to my friends. They said, "Oh, gee, George, I really feel sorry for you. This is too bad. Better luck next time." And then it became an even bigger hit. But I had absolutely no idea that it was going to be a blockbuster.
I have you now. What?
It opened a year after the end of the Vietnam War, and I think the country had gone through such a trauma of being divided, the left against the right, the pro-war and anti-war, had been at each other's throats for so many years and with such bitterness that everyone was looking for an opportunity to find something they could share in common and feel good about and unite around. George told me that what I'm really making here is sort of like a Disney movie. So he said, Disney films always make $16 million. You could look at every picture they've ever released, they make $16 million. This picture is costing around 10. So there's no way we're going to break even on the film. But I think that with the merchandising of products related to the film, we may be able to break even.
Star Wars, for the first time, brought in the concept of that a film represented a franchise, that every movie could be sold in all of its little parts. There were products. There was product placement. Every movie became an industry unto itself. That was something that no one envisioned, say, in 1970.
I can remember at the time of Carrie, which was a success but not a blockbuster, that there was a sense with De Palma that he was obviously pleased by the response to the film, but frustrated that, I think, possibly because he felt the marketing hadn't been quite strong enough, that he felt Carrie could have done more. And there was an extraordinary desire to emulate the others and have this phenomenal success, which I suppose to some extent he had later with The Untouchables.
You can't really be that experimental or that odd or idiosyncratic or follow your muse to some absurd end if you're trying to open in 1,000 theaters or 2,000 theaters and, do $30, $20 million a weekend. So that's a bit of a problem, and once you get that fever in your blood, it's hard to get it out.
Every time a studio chose to make a film of me, they had hoped that the film I'd make would be on the economic level, let's say. The economics of it would become like a Godfather or like a Jaws, although my films are very, very different, And I didn't quite believe that. I kind of realized after doing New York, that it wasn't going to be that way.
Did I tell you to have that baby? Did I tell you to have that goddamn baby? No, I didn't tell you. You had it. Now you have it. Now keep it.
That's it. God, keep hitting me. That's right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, hit me.
That's right. You had it. Now you're crying when it gets tough.
I'll be quiet.
When it gets tough, you cry.
And then the lifestyle started to get a little crazy there, too, where you start to really be... you get into a kind of a doing 10 things at once and pouring your energy into places where it shouldn't go, overdoing it in every level, and somehow you come out alive. I came out alive 2 years later, but the 2 years were quite